Hello and welcome to the introduction to business computing. So in this course we are going to continue from where you stopped last time. I think you had principles of computing. So we'll go a bit deeper, and in this session I want to introduce the course outline so that you know what it is, the content you are supposed to cover. So this course outline is in the portal. I have already attached it there. So this course introduces students to the fundamental concepts of computing and their application in modern business environments. So we are going to cover hardware, software, data handling, productivity tools, digital communication, cybersecurity, introductory perspectives on programming, and business information systems. So the course emphasizes practical competencies alongside conceptual understanding so that you are able to make data-driven decisions. That is where you are in. And digital work environments. Remember, when you go out there in the world of work, you'll be using computers. Nowadays we have AI tools like ChatGPT and Microsoft Excel, Microsoft Word. You are supposed to write emails and the like, and so on and so on. So that is very, very critical. So what are the core course learning outcomes? So by the end of the course, you should be able to explain core computing concepts and systems architecture. So what is a computer? What is an operating system? What is a CPU? And so on. Number 2, use productivity tools to create professional business documents. So here we are going to look at briefly at tools like Microsoft Word, Excel, PowerPoint, and so on. Then we are going to look at perform basic data analysis using spreadsheets. So again, spreadsheets are things like Excel. Understand foundational database concepts and querying. So what is a database? What is SQL? And how can you query a database? Number 5, develop effective business presentations. So I'm sure in your class you are doing presentations. So how best can you do your presentations? Number 6, communicate and collaborate using digital platforms. How do you write an email to your boss? How do you communicate using the common business tools that we have, WhatsApp and the others? Identify cybersecurity risks and apply safe computing practices. You have heard of a lot of people losing their money because, for example, you are using WhatsApp, not WhatsApp, Safaricom app on your phone. Then you make a mistake. Somebody is able to swap your SIM card and log into your Safaricom app and steal your money. And finally, demonstrate foundational understanding of programming and business systems. So here we are just going to lay the groundwork for all that. And what are the units that we are going to cover? So the first unit we are going to look at computing fundamentals. You may have covered this last semester. So I have just developed some very good notes that you can go through. Then we can do a Q&A. You can do a Q&A when you are, but I'll go through it very, very fast because I expect you did this. So introduction to computer systems. We are going to look at definitions and components of a computer system, input, processing, output, and storage cycle, types of computers. Then you are going to look at hardware components, CPU, memory, that is RAM, and storage devices. Input and output devices and peripherals, hardware performance considerations. So when you are buying a computer, what should you consider? What are the things that you should consider? So that is part 1. So in part 2 and 3, we are going to look at word processing and spreadsheet essentials. Here we are going to see how do you use Microsoft Word, how to write a letter, for example, and so on and so on. Then you are going to look at spreadsheets. In this case, you are going to be using Microsoft Excel. How do you do calculations, basic calculations, and the like. In Units 4 and 5, we are going to look at database management and professional presentations. So it is divided into two. So database management concepts and professional presentations. Think of a database as a repository where you store your data. Even that table you create in Excel is a sort of a primitive database. So what are the principles of doing that? Then professional presentations, how do you create your presentations, and how do you choose proper colors, how do you lay your content so that it is as impactful as possible. Next, we are going to look at digital communication and collaboration. Here we are going to look at how do you write an email, online meetings, how do you set up an online meeting, cloud computing. You have always been using these cloud computing platforms like Google Drive, Microsoft OneDrive, and online research strategies. So how to evaluate, for example, the credibility of an online source. You don't just copy something online without evaluating whether it is credible. Unit 7 and 8, we are going to look at cybersecurity, ethics, and introduction to programming. So here we are going to look at the threats. When you're using your computer, what are the things you should be on the lookout for? Somebody who sends you an email, you don't know them, they are telling you to click on that link. You should be very careful about that. Then you are going to look at protective measures and data privacy and ethics. So that is it. So this will be the structure of the exam. I think your exam is 40-60 this time around. So the cut will be 40% and the exam will be 60%. So you are going to look at the others in the portal, which you can go through them in details. So thank you very much.